So last night, there were some like teens, I assume. Maybe they were young adults smoking underneath my apartment, which is fine. Their smoke smelled pretty good. They were smoking some loud, some dank stuff. And they had a fucking grape wrap, so it smelled pretty good. Um, and I smoked too, so I kind of was like not really giving a crap. But it was making me anxious, because they were like right next to my car, and I could hear them, like, I don't know if they had like a cup they kept dropping, but there was this like, I don't know. I don't even know how to make the noise. You know the noise when you drop a plastic cup on the ground? It just makes that like echoey fucking noise. They kept dropping a cup. And that was like that weird noise that kept making me like, well, what, like, it was at 1 a.m. at this point. So it kept like waking me up, as I was like laying down trying to fall asleep. I would like tone them out because I figured I was just smoking weed under there. It's no big deal. But then I'd hear the cup drop and it would like tone me back in. Or there was also like, I think someone was just like on TikTok really loud. So I could just hear like a phone going off. I was like, oh, whatever, man. So I picked up my flute. And I started playing because I was like, I'll give them their time. It takes like, what, 15 minutes to smoke a blunt? I'll give them their time. And I played the flute for a little bit. I sat there and played the flute because the flute's like very relaxing. And I figured too, like, you know, you're smoking, you probably want some like relaxing music in the background there. But after a little bit, I was like, okay, I'm kind of done now because I feel too anxious to fucking keep this up. Also, I did the thing where like you press your car key fob, you just kind of like, it's like a kind of like courteous little like, hey, could you move it along? I noticed that people do it all the time on the street. Like, I like to sit in the window and just kind of like watch life as it happens. And so I noticed a lot of the time that there would be people walking down the street late at night, and then they'll be walking kind of slow, and then they'll linger, and then I'll hear somebody click their fucking key fob and go burp burp right as the person's like by their car. So I learned through observation that like that's like the gentle reminder that others exist and that they can see you and that we're all in this kind of like, you know, community together. And so I went outside, and I'm pretty sure it's the same group of kids. And they were smoking outside my window like a month ago, but they were being really loud. And like screaming and yelling and stuff. And I went outside like, hey yo, get the fuck out of here. I got fucking mad. Not necessarily, I was just like putting the foot down. I was just being firm, like, yo, if you're gonna scream like that underneath my apartment, get out of here. And I'm gonna bark like a doggy dog at you. But tonight they were being relatively quiet, so I kind of went outside and I was like, I got dry mouth because I just woke up. I give him a little, hey, hey there, hey guys, how you doing down there? And I just felt like, you know, all that fucking huffing and puffing energy wasn't really necessary, but it was necessary to like establish my boundary of like, hey man, don't fucking smoke underneath my apartment. At first, I was like, hey, could you guys move it along, please? And I said it kind of quiet, so I was like, maybe they didn't hear me. So then I increased my intonation, like 1 or 2 times, And then they started turning up their TikTok. And at this point, I was like, hey, yo, I can hear you, so I know you can hear me. Can you please fucking move along? And that was the point where I was like, all right, I'm being like courteous, but you guys remember me, right? I'll fuck you, I'll crash out. And one of them finally suggested, hey, I think we should go. And then as soon as we started leaving, I just started thanking them. I was like, thank you. Because they listened. I was like, thank you. You know, you guys are like, we didn't have to do the yelling thing this time. And I'm also thinking, like, yo, next time they're underneath my apartment, I'm finna ask them, like, hey, you the same group of 4 kids down there? And I'll try and be like, all right, okay, you need to fucking, I understand when I was younger, I needed places to smoke. Maybe I'll get to know them so that it'll make me less anxious. Maybe like I could even ask them like, yo, give me like a fucking moniker or like a code word that I could like shout out my window if I hear somebody down there. And if y'all don't fucking call back, then I know it's not you, and then I know that I gotta go out and do something. But if y'all call back, then I know it's just you smoking a blunt, and y'all are fine, because you've shown me at this point that you're respectable, you'll listen to me, you're not really trying to get like into shit, you're just trying to find a place to smoke, and I respect that. So that's kind of like my thinking around it. That was like, all right, I know they're gonna come back and do it again. I'm gonna just try to make friends with them this time. Because, yeah, it is a nice little smoke spot down there, but you gotta smoke next to a fucking garbage can, and it's real stinky, so I'm kind of like, on one hand, like, why are you gonna smoke next to the trash, man? There's better places around here, even if you just, like, go down to the end of the alleyway. That's a better place to smoke, because, like, alright, you're not completely hidden, but, like, you're hidden enough that the average person isn't gonna stop and bother you, and fucking cops do not go down the alleyways at our street. Just so you know, just so you fucking know, they do not go down the alleyways on our street unless they really need to. Unless they really, really, really need to, they stick to the fucking actual streetways. Because it's just some kind of tactical training that they have. So if you're fucking smoking weed and you're getting paranoid, one, that the only reason that should happen is if you're fucking under 21. That's one, because it's legal here. So if you're fucking over 21 and you're getting paranoid that you're gonna get pulled up on, then you have a defense where you could be like, dude, I live, you know, where, you can't smoke inside my apartment, but this is technically my property. You could just pull a whole bunch of fucking analytical bullshit that adults know about. But yeah, man, nobody's gonna fucking yell at you for smoking weed unless you're fucking being disruptive. That's what I'm yelling at them for. I don't think that they realize that too. I'm not yelling at them for the weed. I'm yelling at them for being disruptive. So last night too, I was like, I should have complimented their weed. That shit smelled good. It's not the weed that makes me mad. It's just being loud. But even still, it's not even just being loud. It's being uncertain. That's what really bothers me. I can sit in uncertainty. But then, like, when you're making me sit in uncertainty when I can do something about something, then that's not, I don't want to sit in that uncertainty. And that's where I guess, like, getting to know them would destroy that uncertainty. Like, it's not about, like, this or that. It's just that I'm an anxious individual, and fucking having random people underneath my apartment makes me anxious because my brain jumps to all the different possibilities, especially after, like, I tried making friends with this one dude in the neighborhood, and then he was like, yeah, I broke this dude's window once because he hit my dog with a car, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, that's like valid. And then that night my fucking car was broken into and my backpack was stolen, so I kind of pulled back a little bit, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking interact too much. But you know, at the same token, I noticed that these kids are, I'm pretty sure it's the same group, and I'm pretty sure that they're, you know, trying their best to live life to the fullest while also being respectable, and I respect that. And this one kid was wearing a shirt, which is why I put on this shirt today. He's wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt, except his was backwards. Like Mickey Mouse was on the back, and my Mickey's on the front. So I was like, yo, I fuck with the shirt though. Like, it's a cool shirt. And he, I don't know if he heard me or whatever, but then like his friend was walking out and his friend seemed cool. And I was like, I gave him the nod. Like, this is probably the most like dude of the group, the boy. And I gave him a nod and I was like, thank you. And then he kind of reiterated to his friend, he's like, hey man, and he ran up to him and he's like, he likes your shirt. Like, he's a cool dude. And I was like, yeah, you guys are cool fucking youngins as well. It's just like I said, I don't like feeling uncertain, especially if there's like something that I can do about it. And now I'm starting to realize that I have other tools at my disposal rather than just like being a barking dog. Like, I could fucking, next time that they're down there, be like, okay, this clearly isn't gonna fucking end. And I know it's not gonna end because I've been smoking weed for like 10 years at this point. If you're gonna do it, fine. That's a something that's not gonna change, but also at the same time, there's something about the environment around it we can change, because weed does make you paranoid and anxious. So like, I'm definitely ruining their high when I'm like, yo, get out of here, and I'm like yelling at them. So like, that's also why the other night I was like, hey man, I'm not gonna fucking yell at you, and if anything, I'm gonna play flute while I'm waiting for you guys to smoke, so that hey, somebody's here, they're awake, they're right above you. But they want harmony. That's what the flute really symbolizes. If you use it as like an interactive mechanism, is that like the flute symbolizes harmony. So if every time I feel disharmony, my first instinct is to go to the flute and play it while I process the disharmony and alchemize it into harmony. Well, then that creates a very outward example of my internal grounding process. There we go. Sometimes I can ground myself internally using monologue and words and stuff like that, and reassuring myself and using affirmations. But music does the same exact thing. It's like a meditative practice. There's lots of different ways that you can meditate. So when people are like, teach me how to meditate, for me, I'm like, well, there's no teaching to be done because you're already doing it. Even asking the question in and of itself, I want to learn how to meditate, is a form of meditation, because you're tasking yourself, or you're asking your subconscious, what is this concept? And then your subconscious is then kind of data gathering around that concept because you're fixated on it, which is a form of meditation. Meditation is just it's basically just fixating your mind on a point. You focus your mind on a fixed point, and you try to guide your awareness to that point. There's different points that you can fix your awareness on, though. So you can be like, I want to clear my mind and empty my mind. So your fixed point would be like space. Not necessarily silence, because you can't silence the firing of your circuits. But what you can do is you can create space between the firing of your circuits and its direct impact on your nervous system. So like when you're in a reactive state, something like people underneath your apartment smoking can make you yell and be like, go outside and be like, get out of here. And being put into a reactive state can be triggered by something like a blood-curdling scream. Yeah, if you hear a blood curdling scream, your instinct is going to be to go to action, because that's like a primal kind of drive that you have. Um, but if you can put space between your instincts and your reactions, so if you can hear like a blood curdling scream, but then you don't instantly jump, and like you maybe analyze the situation, or maybe you don't react in like and kind. You And this process can happen so fast that you analyze the situation and decide your reaction almost instantly. But if you're deciding your reaction, you're no longer reacting, you're becoming proactive, because you're creating a conscious decision rather than just directly acting out the emotion or whatever. You have this like processing phase, and this processing phase can take, a second, or it can take like a minute or two. And that's the space, is like how long you give yourself to process something. And I gave myself a while to process it last night, so I figured out a completely different approach than the typical approach that other people take. And I just kind of felt like reiterating that as like a stance of, well, hold on a second. You can be kind, but also be firm on your boundaries at the same time. I feel like I've had examples where in order to have boundaries, you have to be like mean enough to defend them. In reality, you just need to be firm enough to defend your boundaries. And you also got to define your boundaries. So for me, the boundary that I'm trying to define is like being unsure. So I'm like, hey, is there a way that we could provide surety to each other in this situation? And the shirt thing was me trying to be like, you guys are cool, like you're good, you're just like messing with a mentally ill individual. It's like, dude, I'm trying to fuck crank hog right now. You guys are distracting me. That's the worst part about living in this, like, in a tightly packed fucking area, is like, you're, for some reason, especially like here, the windows don't need to be as thick as in a colder climate. So it's like, even right now, I'm like, I gotta pay attention to my tone level, because I don't want to be yelling, because it's still 8:30 in the morning and people are still waking up. I'm like, even still, I'm like trying to pay attention to that aspect, because I know that my voice will carry way further than I intend to in such a tightly packed and like poorly sound engineered environment. Which it goes exactly back into, it's like, hey, if I can hear you, you can hear me, because the sound travels both ways. Sound isn't like a one-way river unless you have one of those sound cancellation devices. We should start carrying those around. Imagine if you could, like, you don't have to really imagine it, because they already have it. It's already a concept that exists, but it's like a device. They don't have it like super down packed yet. There's two different kinds of devices. There's one device that they use in secured buildings to vibrate the windows, and it sends a sonic vibration through the window, so that if there are people in the distance using the vibrations of the glass window in order to like decipher what's being said inside the room, the vibrational mechanism on the window like vibrates it in such a way that the sound doesn't leave the room, and also you can't tell what's happening in the room sound wise, even using visual data, because you can translate sound into visual data and you can translate visual data into sound with pretty near accuracy, especially when you're considering transitioning video data into sound. Even if you don't have like the actual data file, what you do have is like whenever I say a word, it creates a specific pattern of vibrations, and that's like it'll create like a Morse code dot dash kind of pattern when it hits the window. And if you have the proper algorithm, you can decipher that like phonetic code of vibration. And using that correct algorithm, deciphering the correct vibration or counter vibration, they developed the dome of silence, or a cone of silence, where it's like a little device that you'll put in the middle of the table, and what it will do is it'll blanket your like a 5-foot radius with negative noise. So basically it will when I say the word it creates a vibration, but if you create a I forget what they call it in mathematics. Interfering wave. If you create an interfering wave, which is basically like, I'm simplifying it here, but this is not exactly how it works. It's like basically playing the word backwards. So as you're saying word, it plays word backwards, and word and other word will cancel each other out. Hello, little birdie. Hey, what are you doing, cat? What are you doing? Dude, that was a chill bird. What are you doing? It had its mouth agape. What are you doing, kitty? That was crazy, bro. She's like, I'm glad that she's doing that, because like she's an anxious kitty. So the fact that she just ran across the room to go catch a birdie in the windowsill, that's cool as shit. You deserve some fucking treats for that. That's awesome. You want to get rewarded? Like you just caught it? Yeah, you pretty much just caught it. Let's simulate catching the bird with some treats. I'll give you the whole handful. Why am I taking some away? You I haven't given you yet none today. So what did I? Shit, I guess that was a pretty good ending. Yeah, we need to start making those devices more prevalent. We all carry around speakers on our phones. So technically, all you really need is an app. So like, if you could get, you know that there's this app called like Sound Party or whatever, Party Sounds, where you can link everybody's phone together and play the same song through them collectively to create like a bigger speaker out of all of your individual speakers. So it would be cool if you could develop an app that could use that same kind of mechanism to make all the phones work in unison, but then used it to create interfering sound patterns to cancel out like your group's sound impact. The only issue is that it doesn't cancel out exactly. It simply moves the energy to somewhere else. So basically, like, as I'm talking, it directs the sound directly towards my microphone. But if we had like a cone of silence around it, around just the microphones, I would talk and then it would go around it and then it would keep going. And then within the cone, we would be talking inside of the cone and it would be bouncing. So like say that my voice is going this way and somebody else's voice is going this way. They're supposed to carry that way onwards and then mine is supposed to carry that way onwards, but we have the cone. So instead of like the person next to me being able to eavesdrop, the cone essentially forces the sound upwards. But what that can do is create like a fountain effect. So the person next to us can't hear us, but now suddenly the person in the corners of the room can hear us. You know, the person on the outside of the very edges of the field will be able to hear you because the sound is being carried by the kind of carrier wave of the interfering pattern. Because you can't necessarily, well, as it is, can't necessarily fully and completely cancel out sound. Just as it is, if you have like a speaker or something, it's creating an interfering wave, it's going to just create more sound. You know what I'm saying? You need to make like a reverse speaker that like sucks in sound, like a sound drain. Yeah, actually, you need to make it like a repository for the energy of your words, like literally like the kinetic and what do they call it? The ears? Auditory. But yeah, but what kind of energy is auditory? Sonic? Sound. Shit, what kind of energy is sound? Vibrational waves. Vibrations are kinetic, so I suppose it's air pressure waves as well. So you need to create some kind of like negative air pressure without like creating a fan vacuum in order, like, because fans drown out noise. But if you want to hear the person next to you, like if you're talking to somebody and there's a big ass loud fan, you gotta yell over the fan. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the fan is creating a bunch of like competing and interfering frequencies to the conversation you're trying to have, which doesn't actually cancel it out. It just makes you have to talk louder over it. Other people can't hear you because the fan is louder than how you're talking still, but it still creates a lot of extra noise. And that's why I'm saying you need something that's actually more of like a drain or a sink, like a reverse kind of speaker, where any sound that hits it would be instantly deadened, which would, I guess, be like an absorbing material. But you want to create a material that can explicitly just it can have discretion over which sounds it's absorbing and which sounds it's not, because like something like a foam sound insulator doesn't have discretion over what kind of sounds it's insulating from. It just insulates from all sounds. So what you want to do is like isolate a sound and then essentially like extract the energy from it to not move past a certain radius. And you can do that on your own just by talking quieter. You can just change your tone and intonation so that if you talk quieter, your voice carries a lot less farther. I've always had the problem where I'm a loud whisperer. People would always tell me like, dude, you might as well just be talking, you're whispering so loud. And it took me a while to realize like, oh shit, I'm a loud whisperer. So I guess that's where I'll leave it today. I hope you keep it easy out there, and